Hello everyone, back to you in today's first video. We're going to look at the ECMWF extended model for today's first video for UK and Europe as well. We're looking at weather for the next 4 weeks, which will take us, of course, into the second half of December. So that's going to be very interesting, isn't it? We can actually go out to like 6 weeks away with this, but we're going to stop at week 4. We always do like a 30-day look ahead on a Tuesday for the UK and for Europe as well. But tomorrow we will show you weeks 5 and 6 data as part of our live stream, and that'll be from 6 o'clock in the evening tomorrow, so I think that'll be a pretty interesting watch, hopefully. But yeah, we're going to go through the next 4 weeks worth of data in terms of mean sea level pressure, 500 millibar heights, temperature and precipitation anomalies, and we'll see what the ECMWF extended model is forecasting today for the next 30 days. Just over coming up later on today, we're going to have your 10 to 14 day update. Map will include all of regular features as well. So some quite interesting model output around this morning. More about that later. Right, so at the ecmwf.int website for this, and big thanks to them for supplying us with the charts. This is the week 1 mean sea level pressure anomaly, taking us from the 23rd to the 30th of November. But this model updates twice a week, by the way. Updates like on a Monday night and a Thursday night. So we bring you the data on a Tuesday, but also on a Friday as well. On a Friday, we'll do the full 6 weeks for the UK and for Ireland as well. Right, so week 1, mean sea level pressure anomaly looks like this. Very anticyclonic. The pink colours are like high pressure, blue colours are low pressure. So you can see that with the week 1 mean sea level pressure anomaly from the ECMWF, we're seeing high pressure dominating across much of northern and western Europe as well. We've got low pressure up towards Greenland, Iceland, and also extending down towards the northwest Russia, some low pressure down towards Spain and Portugal. This ridge actually extends out into the central bowl of the Med, although into the eastern Med, pressure is a little bit weaker. Jet stream is generally up here, doing something a little bit like that, I think. That's a cut-off low down there. So it looks very anticyclonic for much of northern, central and western, even southern Europe as well. High pressure dominating in weekend. This is another way of looking at things. This is the 500 millibar height anomaly, again with a strong anticyclonic signal. High pressure sitting across much of the northwest of Europe out into the Atlantic as well. We've got some lower pressure down here and the polar vortex, of course, up towards Greenland and Iceland. Jet streams doing something like that generally. So this is a pretty mild forecast and scenario for northern parts of Europe for week 1. The final week of November looks mild. Much of northern Europe looking very mild in those sort of orange type colours, which I think is going to around 6 degrees above average. Just generally quite mild down this western side of Europe, although eastern France is a little bit cooler. And through the central parts of Europe, like from eastern France over towards sort of Ukraine, so through this central sway, it is actually a little bit colder through there. Probably caused by just the high pressure sitting there and producing quite a lot of frost and maybe fog underneath the high pressure. And then it gets milder as come down into the Mediterranean. So most parts of Med are looking mild, from Italy back to Spain and Portugal, mild on average through there. Down in towards Greece, it's a little bit colder there, and particularly cold around the Balkans actually, and towards the Black Sea. So northern Europe looks generally mild, southwestern Europe looks generally mild, central to eastern Europe looking just that little bit colder. Week 1 precipitation anomaly, it looks very dry across many parts of Europe. So where we've got high pressure, of course, you expect it to be dry. So from Ireland, UK and France in west, right way over to Black Sea in the east, all areas in between, drier than average. Even up to Scandinavia, it's generally drier than average. Some of these Baltic Sea areas are still quite dry as well. Wettest weather is down into the Mediterranean. So northern parts of Spain and Portugal are dry. Italy is generally dry, but through the central bowl of the Med, looks like there could be some heavy showers and thunderstorms, and they extend in towards southern and eastern parts of Spain as well. Looking dry through the east of Europe, so from the Adriatic on towards the Balkans, then over towards the Black Sea again. It's coming out significantly drier than average through there. The southeastern part of the Med, particularly around Greece, looking a little bit wetter. Right, so that's week 1 done. This is how week 2 mean sea level pressure anomaly is looking. This takes us from the 30th of November to 7th of December. Now, this looks rather more interesting if you want some colder weather. So, the area of high pressure splits in two, really. We take an area of high pressure into Mid-Atlantic. That's what we call a Mid-Atlantic ridge. So, extending up towards Greenland. Also got high pressure forming across western parts of Russia. So, that's a Siberian high, of course. And just generally quite high pressure through the east of Europe. In between, we've got like near normal pressure, but there's probably going to be a trough through here, I would have thought. With the jet stream maybe doing something a little bit like that. So this could be a colder signal, actually, for northern and particularly western parts of Europe. We may start to pull in some colder winds from the north. Pressure looks generally weak through much of the Mediterranean, so lower pressure through the Med. And yeah, that could be a little bit on the colder side for western parts of Europe. This is how the week 2 500 millibar height anomaly looks. Again, it gives us the idea that we've got a mid-Atlantic ridge just here, possibly extending up towards southern Greenland. Trough of low pressure is through there, and maybe sort of digging southwards as well. High pressure towards the eastern part of Europe is trying to bring in easterly winds, actually, across many parts of Europe. The week 2 temperature anomaly is going colder for the west of Europe in particular. So we still have Scandinavia, generally milder than average. But generally overall, though, it does look colder. So either the UK is a little bit colder than average. Much of northern France is colder than average. The Low Countries and Germany, seeing temperature anomalies there going down to around 3 degrees below average. So very substantially colder than average through like inland parts of Western Europe. Then extending further eastwards, it's still a little bit cooler than average, or slightly below average, even towards the eastern side of Europe. Down in the Mediterranean, so it's a little bit warmer through there, a little bit milder, but nevertheless, even there, like the temperature is only slightly above average. So this does look, away from like northern Scandinavia anyway, this does look like it's generally quite a coldish week actually coming up for many parts of Europe, and particularly so sort of in the west of Europe, with potentially some northerly winds. Week 2 precipitation anomaly looks like that. So again, a lot of dry weather coming up for the first week of December. So yeah, sort of dry and average from west of Russia. Hints of being dry and average through France and the UK and Ireland, down to northern parts of Spain. So yeah, still quite a dry week coming up. Scandinavia, perhaps a little bit wet, especially here in the Norwegian Sea. That could be snow, though, if we've got northerly winds beginning to dig in, of course. Well, it's very dry in the North Atlantic, doesn't it? That's where we've got the Mid-Atlantic ridge extending up towards southern parts of Greenland. In the Med, so like the southeastern Med, around Greece, for example, a little bit wet average through there, and quite wet down towards southern parts of Spain as well. Right, week 3, mean sea pressure anomaly, looks like that. This is from the 7th to the 14th of December. Again, this could be quite cold. This could be quite a cold time. It's quite a change on what the ECMWF was forecasting, last week, last Tuesday and Friday. So now we've got like a trough of low pressure just covering much of northern and Western Europe, and particularly Western Europe, actually. Mid-Atlantic ridge going up towards Greenland. Siberian high push back into Russia, so that's not really a player. But it's this ridge in the North Atlantic up towards Greenland that with the jet stream we're doing something a little bit like that, I think. So that does look like quite a big trough as it's extending down the western side of Europe. East Europe is probably pulling up some milder southerly winds, I would have thought. But out in the west, that could be a colder signal again. Week 3, 500 millibar height anomaly from the 7th to the 14th of December. Definitely suggesting something quite cold here. Look, we've got trough of low pressure through west of Europe, a ridge, a mid-Atlantic ridge up towards Greenland, another ridge over on the eastern side of Europe. So the way this works out, this is quite a cold ridge as well for Eastern America, by the way. So the way this works out is that the jet stream does something like that. So we're on the cold side of the jet, and therefore we're pulling winds in from the north into that trough of low pressure. So I expect this to be a colder than average week. That's how the temperature anomaly is looking. So much of northern eastern Europe is going milder than average. So we're pulling up like a southerly wind at the eastern side of Europe. The western side of Europe, that's where I think it would be colder than average. Although the model actually shows the cold average temperature anomaly is more in the North Atlantic. But I think just generally this west, as we go further out, the signal gets weaker. So I think just generally this western side of Europe looks cold. with northerly winds. The eastern side of Europe looks mild with southerly winds. It's one of the way that the weather system balances itself out. So mild in the west, colder in the west, milder in the east. Through the Mediterranean, again, we see this east-west split as well. So from Italy eastwards, Mediterranean is milder than average. From Italy westwards, it starts to get cooler. Not cold, but it gets cooler the further west you go. So you can clearly see that sort of west or northwest, east, southeast divide. The rainfall non-precipitation anomaly for week 3 from the 7th to 14th of December looks like that. Again, you can see where that mid-Atlantic ridge is, can't you? Driving average through the North Atlantic, extending up towards southern Greenland. That's where the high pressure is. Low pressure is through here, so wetter than average, or hinting at being wetter than average, through Spain, through Portugal, through the Bay of Biscay towards France, central part of the Med as well. With near normal precipitation like for Ireland and the UK. Now, of course, this could be quite a cold week with northerly winds. You wouldn't totally rule out the chance that this precipitation in west of Europe might be wintry. Over on the eastern side of Europe, just no particular signal, but I would have thought probably drier towards the east side of Europe, where we have that ridge of high pressure. Further out we go, the weaker signals are getting. And then finally for this update anyway, the week 4 mean sea level pressure anomaly from the 14th to 21st of December running up towards Christmas looks like this. So still a trough of low pressure, a weak trough of low pressure anyway, left across the northwest of Europe. Looks like the mid-Atlantic ridge is slipping southwards towards the Azores. And so we will probably be expecting to be starting to bring in more of a westerly flow here into the middle part of December. Probably a return of westerlies with, again, the Siberian high up towards the northwest of Russia. 500 millibar height anomaly from the 14th to 21st of December looking like that. Actually still looking quite blocked. So I said like a return of the westerlies, but to be honest, this still looks quite blocked through the North Atlantic and then like that. So this area, again, you'd expect this to be filled up with low pressure, probably still on the cold side of the jet stream, I would have thought, for much of Western Europe. The temperature anomaly for week 4 is looking like that. So again, northern and eastern parts of Europe are coming out milder than average. So from Scandinavia down towards the Black Sea, towards Greece and Turkey, mild average through there. Although we're seeing these weekly, it does look as though sort of the northwest of Europe could well still be on the cooler to colder side, actually, to me. So I think that could be another pretty chilly week there. And then lastly for precipitation. No, we don't want that. We want that. Lastly, precipitation, we look like this from the 14th, 21st of December. So, again, yes, I mean, very weak signals by this point, but still looking pretty dry in the North Atlantic around Iceland and sailing through the North Atlantic as well. So, still quite a lot of high pressure to our north and west. You know, otherwise very weak signals, but this area probably filled up by a trough still. So, I would have thought quite chilly there. And then over on the east side of Europe, probably a ridge through here keeps things drier through the east of Europe. It's very speculative by that point because it's so far out. So beyond that, we go through weeks 5, which is the 21st, 28th of December. That's Christmas week, of course. And then week 6, which is the 28th of December to the 4th of January. That's over the new year. And we'll look at that data in the live stream tomorrow. But certainly for the next 4 weeks, it's a very interesting update. It's quite a big flip on what the ECMWF was showing yesterday. So yeah, we could well be seeing something a bit colder coming up here for the west of Europe, particularly through the first half of December to the middle part of the month. Then it all gets rather sketchy, I think. But certainly up to the middle of December, through that first half of December, does look quite cold for the west of Europe. Conversely, though, the eastern part of Europe looks like it could be turning relatively mild. With this cold weather in west of Europe, as there's a trough of low pressure involved, you wouldn't totally rule out chance some snow for western parts of Europe. That would include the UK as well, by the way. So yeah, a little bit different here to anything that we've seen in December for quite a few years now. Colder for the west, milder for the east. As I said, we'll extend out to weeks 5 and 6 in the live stream tomorrow from 6 o'clock. Going to be back later on with your 10 to 14 day video update, including all of regular features, so come back then. For this one, that's all for now, and thanks for watching.